Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, we're back in our old studio.
Does our voice sound better in here?
I think so. It's got the nice sound padding.
Yeah.
It's finely tuned so that the Neutral Zone sounds as nice as possible.
You can hear the nice, deep, rumbles.
The tones.
The tones. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are back in the podcast studio.
I feel like we used to have different microphones in here.
Yeah, we're mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
These are
like
COVID times, Eric,
COVID
so you have
times.
to adjust, you have to be flexible, and you have to make anything work.
That's right. Next week we might be doing this outside.
Who knows?
We'll just have to
just
figure
really
it out.
Depends.
Yep.
But we got a lot of great stuff to talk about here today.
Do we ever?
Yeah. The Broncos' playoff chances, probably not one of them.
There is a path, Phil.
I know that you went.
I've been
down
in
a
the
hole.
lab.
Yeah, you went in a dark place.
It's not that far-fetched.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, I'd have to look it up. It's a lot of memorization.
It's a lot
There's
of-
9 games that have to
Yeah,
go the
yeah.
Broncos' way.
Yeah.
And probably the least likely is Broncos-Chiefs.
Winning?
Yeah.
Oh, got it. So the Broncos have to win both their games.
Broncos
right?
have to win both their
I think that's
games.
where it starts.
Yeah.
Then like a whole bunch of crazy stuff has to happen.
Not too crazy.
Like if the wind, blows
No.
a certain direction and it's snowing in this location but raining here and all kinds of different.
No,
crazy
not that
things. Full
crazy.
moon, if there's
The
a full
Rams have to
moon.
beat the Ravens. That's doable. The
Pretty
Titans
much
have to
all
beat the
teams-
Dolphins.
Yeah, all
That's
AFC
doable.
teams have to lose and
The bad AFC teams have to lose, and
Yeah.
the good AFC teams have to win.
win. Got it.
Yeah.
And then the Broncos win, and
We'll see.
we'll have to see what happens.
I actually think it's possible you could get through this week with the Broncos still being alive.
being in it.
There's only
That
4.
would be kind of
There's
exciting.
only 4 games this week that have to go the Broncos' way.
That actually hasn't happened since like 2015.
Yeah.
Where the Broncos are in the mix the final week of the season. So that
Yeah.
would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think I can remember that one.
nice.
That's Browns over Steelers, Broncos over Chargers, Rams over Ravens, and Titans over Dolphins.
Those things could happen.
Yeah.
Although the Dolphins have won 7 games in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
First team, remember we talked about this earlier in the year, like winning a bunch of games and then losing a bunch of games. How much of that's happened? The Dolphins, the first team ever to lose 7 consecutive and then win 7 consecutive
In the same season, yeah.
in the same season.
It's true.
That's what I'm talking about. Same season.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I want to get into on this episode is what can Drew Lock do these final 2 games here if he's a starter in both of them? And we're assuming he's going to start this Chargers game. Vic Fangio all but said that on Wednesday.
It's likely.
Yeah. He said that Teddy not able to practice, still not looking like Bridgewater will be able to play. So it's probably going to be Drew Lock. And then if Drew Lock finishes the season, if Teddy's still not able to go, what I'm wondering is, can he do something in these games to change the mind of Broncos country and also Broncos decision makers that maybe there is something long-term to this guy? That's what I'm wondering.
Okay.
I think maybe we can get into that a little bit. Then the other thing I was interested in, Eric, is talking about the foundation of this Broncos team. I think that'll be a nice transition from the Drew Lock to the building for the future here. What does this foundation look like moving forward? And, Justin Simmons was asked about it on Wednesday and said he felt positive about the foundation, what was building here in Denver. I'm wondering what you think about the foundation.
What is he supposed to say?
He could be honest and just say exactly how he feels.
Maybe he was being honest.
Maybe he was. That's what I'm saying. That's what he's supposed to say. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be honest.
Supposed to be honest. So if he really
That's
thought
all I wanted.
if he thought the foundation was bad,
He should say that.
okay.
That's what
Got
I-
it.
I just want an honest answer. you
Yeah.
know?
Of course.
Sometimes, a lot of reporters say, I just want an honest answer. And then when they get an honest answer, they get upset.
They don't
Not
like
this
it.
guy.
No,
I just
you
want
love
honesty.
It. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like mixing it up. I like it when people are serious. I like when people are funny. But most of all, I like it when people are genuine and honest.
Got it. I see that.
That's what, yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I like.
Love that.
Eric, and then maybe I thought we could wrap up with something fun, just talking about father and son duos in the NFL, because obviously Pat Surtain and then Pat Surtain again.
Yeah.
He was asked whether or not, by Justin Simmons, ironically enough,
Huh?
Yeah, Justin Simmons hopped on the Zoom a little bit early and then asked a question while Surtain was still going.
Is that honest?
Yes.
Okay.
It was honest. And he asked Surtain, okay, if you and your dad lined up, one was DB, one was a wide receiver, ran a play, and then they switched positions and ran a play, who would come out on top in those situations?
In their respective primes.
In their respective primes.
Not
And
today.
PS2 is not even in his prime yet. So we don't even know what that means. You know what I mean?
Don't you
It's a
wish
little bit
you could
craziness.
know we were in the good old days before
It's a little
they were
crazy.
over?
Huh?
You ever wish you were knew you were in the good old days before they were over?
Is that from something? Is that like a New Girl reference
I just
or
said
something?
that. No, it's just something I thought about.
Got it. Yeah, that's true. But I think that PS2 gave an honest answer and said that I'd win both of those.
Yeah. And then his dad chimed in.
Yes, Dad chimed in on Twitter. He said, "Let's go. Let's line it up." Eric, and he gave an honest answer. Both of them, both think they could win. So it got me thinking. There's been quite a few father-son duos in the NFL.
Many. Dozens.
Including Archie
10,000.
Manning, Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Even in the coaching realms, like Don Shula, Mike Shula. There's some Broncos connections here with some father-son duos.
Yeah, that's true.
It just got me thinking, who usually the son is better than the father, and I was just wondering we can maybe explore that a little bit.
Got it. That could be nice.
Yeah. So, Eric, there's many ways that NZ Nation can be a part of this show because we do have some comments to get to later on in the episode.
We do.
You can leave a voicemail if you want to, if you're listening or watching. 707-NEUTRAL is how you do that.
That's a good way.
But, Eric, sometimes people don't want to leave their voice on air.
No, that could be scary.
It could be scary. So what else? What are their options?
You could leave an email at neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
And we'll read that.
Right here on the air.
Neutral Zone say it again?
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I like that. You could also hit us up directly on Twitter at Eric Dalala with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH. Non-traditional spellings.
Non-traditional.
Are you on Twitter right now?
There's always news to be breaking.
There's always something going on.
There's always the COVID going on right now.
You need to pay attention to me.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm tweeting at you right now at Phil Milani with a PH.
You know who likes to tweet at us? Tom Agnetti.
That's our guy.
He came out and joined us at Breckenridge Brewery's farm home.
That's right.
Earlier in the season.
Yes, he did.
At the very beginning of November.
After the Washington football team lost to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, that was on Halloween. He joined us November 1st.
Uh-huh.
And he took a picture with us after the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it into his book from the trip out here.
A scrapbook of sorts.
Scrapbook, yeah. That's pretty nice.
That's nice.
We'll post. I'll retweet that.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, so check it out.
Do it right now.
Yeah. No, I like to pay attention to you. I don't do it right now.
That's the honest answer. I don't like to pay attention to you.
And then you could also comment on YouTube. We'll have some YouTube comments. We haven't done that in a while.
No, we haven't, but we got some good ones.
We got some good ones here, so we'll talk about those later on in the show.
Perfect.
So that's how you get in touch with us. You could be just like Tom Agnetti and come out to Breckenridge Brewery's farm home. Only 2 more shows there, Eric.
That's sad. For this year.
Who
knows what could happen next year?
I know.
Yeah.
The possibilities are really endless.
Anything could happen.
But 2 more the rest of this year. We're there every Monday after Broncos games.
Yep.
From 6 to 7 p.m. sharp.
Live on YouTube.
Live on the Broncos YouTube page, no matter what.
No matter what.
We'll be right there.
Yeah.
So come on out. Say hi.
Could be good.
You could also enjoy a beverage.
We enjoyed a couple of beverages.
Yeah, we did. We needed it after
Yeah,
the
we
games.
needed it.
Yeah. So, Eric, let's dive into our first topic here on this episode of the Neutral Zone, and that is talking about Drew Lock and what he might be able to do these last 2 games if he is called upon to maybe help decide what his future might be here in Denver or elsewhere in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you think that if he goes out and plays like he did against the Raiders, which probably was, according to some people, maybe his best game?
The number crunchers.
The number crunchers.
The PFF.
The stat people like you. The DVOAers.
No, I don't. I like to look at things like points.
Got it. Touchdowns.
Yeah.
Interceptions.
Yep. Interceptions.
The
there were none of those.
Matter,
there were none of
what
those.
about the advanced metrics?
Yeah. What about them?
Some of those people think that this was Drew Lock's best game ever.
Ever.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't necessarily.
But I don't agree with that.
No.
But what if he goes out there and maybe this time he throws like 2 touchdowns and also no interceptions? Do you think is it possible? Well, I guess that was what I'm saying. Is it possible for him to change the perception around him?
Well, obviously, there's some people that still have not like the perception around him. For some people, is that he's great.
That is true.
And that he should be the franchise quarterback. Obviously, the fan base is very divided.
That is true.
But I think there's a couple things working against Drew here, because the main thing is that he's just kind of run out of time.
Ooh.
And that, like, say he goes out and, what'd you say, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions?
Yeah, what if let's say he throws for 250 yards.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
Would you start to be like,
To me, that's still like it's a good game, but it's still kind of in the realm of, hey, we haven't seen this. Consistency has always been the thing with Drew, right? I think you needed to see it kind of over the span of a whole season. I don't know if he went out and he threw 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 350 yards each of the next 2 games, maybe it drives up his trade value. Maybe it piques your interest a little bit. Maybe it gives you an idea of, hey, if Drew needs to be our backup next year, we feel a lot better about it. But I just think where this roster is, who you've re-signed to contracts in Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Justin Simmons, Shelby Harris, who you drafted in Pat Surtain, Javonte Williams, this team, Phil, I think is ready to win and ready to compete. And I still think that Drew's at the point in his career where if you gave him a full season next year, there's still going to be some ups and downs. Like, I don't think it would be perfect. I think there would still be a learning curve.
So that's not really him running out of time. It's more so just that you don't think maybe he's built right now for this roster.
Right, but I think that's because he's run out of time. Like, if this was a year ago where he kind of showed, like, hey, it was up and down, but toward the end of the year I was really, really good, and the Broncos were – like, he played better down the stretch last year, but the wins weren't there.
Yeah.
And so if he had done something late in the year last year to suggest, hey, I've turned the corner, maybe you get that extra season. But I think it would be hard for him to prove over these next 2 games or show enough that, like, hey, we can take – because it's a risk, right? If you say he's going to be our starter next year, I think it's maybe a little too much of a risk to say based off 2 games that he's done enough to earn that right because, like I said, I think this team is built to win. And so either – you need to go get somebody that can win now.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to invest in like a young player that needs that time, I would think it would need to be another draft pick that
somebody with a higher ceiling. Maybe.
Right. And that you haven't kind of already seen like 20 games or whatever of tape that suggest maybe it's going to work out, maybe it's not. If you're going to go through a whole nother year, like say you draft a rookie quarterback and you have to go through all the growing pains, you want it to be for a guy that you still think has a chance to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yep. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not sure that even if Drew plays his best football consistently, I'm not saying he can't be a top 15 guy, maybe even borderline top 10, but I'm not sure that he profiles as like a Burrow or a Mahomes or a Herbert or somebody like that.
That's what I was sort of going to get to is that I think even if he goes out and has 2 really good games, I don't think that would even be enough to change people's minds because this is still the coaching staff and the decision makers here in the front office that helped all get together and say Teddy's going to be the guy here moving forward for this season. So like I think that the sample size is just too small. Like maybe if they would have gone to Drew earlier in the season where he had like eight games to show that, hey, look, I am really good. I am this improved quarterback. Maybe then you would start to have that doubt in your mind. But I just think that 2 games is just not enough. And like it was a good game against the Raiders, but it wasn't anything that was like, oh my gosh, this guy he's got it. You know what I mean?
It was like a good performance from a young quarterback or like a backup quarterback.
He did what the coaching staff asked him to do, play a little more conservative, don't turn the ball over, let's win with the defense. And presumably they thought they'd have a rushing attack.
Right.
Drew didn't get any help from the offensive line.
No, but as we talked about Monday, Phil, there are when you look at some other quarterbacks, some other offenses around the league, they have more chances than the Broncos did.
Yep.
Like we talk about Drew having a good game and it kind of being spoiled by some drops, by some plays that weren't to the first down marker. Well, most quarterbacks, most offenses, you have more than like 3 or 4 plays over the course of the game that you have to convert. And I just kind of think, look at what the other quarterbacks in this division are doing. Look what young quarterbacks around the AFC are doing. This roster is really good right now. At some point, Phil, the entire roster will not be as good because when you have good players, you've got to pay them, and then kind of the entire roster like takes a little bit of a step down. And so I do think at some point you need a top caliber guy, and I just don't know if Drew, it's nothing against him. I think he'll still be a solid NFL quarterback somewhere, but I don't know if he profiles as that top guy. And Phil, it seemed to me when he talked to the media on Wednesday that he kind of knew that something's going to happen. He was asked, hey, can you prove yourself here? And he said, I want to prove it to my teammates. But whatever they decide, like whatever the Broncos decide is up to them. And it was almost like he was talking about them as like a separate entity.
Not like him
which is odd as someone who's like part of that team.
Got it.
You know?
So you were kind of read into.
I read into a little bit of how he was saying just, you know, that he might think, hey, I might have to go somewhere else to get this opportunity or something like that.
Do you think Drew would be happy if he was in a backup role to like an elite guy in this league?
No, I think Drew wants to play football.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. A lot of guys want to play football. And I think, you know, some quarterbacks get to the point where they understand that a backup role is what kind of they're destined for. I'm guessing based on how Drew talks that he thinks I can be a starter somewhere. Yeah. He said, I need this. I was missing this from my life. You know, he wants to lead the guys. He's still young. This is only his 3rd season. There's certainly a chance he could go somewhere and turn it around and prove he's the guy. But, no, I don't think right now he would be – and I'm kind of speaking for him. He hasn't said this. But right now I don't see that he would be satisfied or content being a backup long term.
I don't think he'd be happy as a backup either.
No.
So if you don't think that it'll happen here for Drew just because of the way this roster is constructed, you don't think he'd be happy as a backup, do you think that in Drew's mind somewhere he's like, I've got to go out here and do stuff so that some other team in the NFL sees what I'm capable of?
Yeah, absolutely. And he might not want to admit that, but I think anybody
is like
who's on this roster who doesn't have a starting job, who doesn't have a contract, you know, who's not under contract going into next year, you've got to be thinking that of, you know, we talk a lot about what's there left to play for.
I hate that question.
Oh, sorry.
People ask that question all the time, and it's like you just get this exact same answer every single time.
Yeah.
So why ask the question?
Well, but I think that they all say we're pros. The reality is everyone's playing to put good tape out there so they can get that next contract.
Exactly. There's only 17 of these games, and you only play, the league average is like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of every chance you go out there to do something.
Right, and there's all these like big, or not all these, but there's some big name free agents that the Broncos would have. Obviously fewer now that Cortland and Tim have been re-signed, but there are some guys that will be free agents that maybe fans know about, and then there's a bunch of guys that are free agents that you probably never even considered would be a free agent, and so those guys need to go out and prove that, hey, I should come back, or I need another team to pick me up. A guy like Drew could prove somewhere, hey, I should be the starter. Teddy Bridgewater, if he gets to play, or whatever tape he put out there this year, if he's done for the season.
New contract.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always something to play for, and it's about more, in my mind, these individual guys figuring out, hey, what's next for me, as opposed to some sort of like, we're going to keep trying hard because we're pros.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I think the guys who know they're going to be here want to keep building. Yeah. But there's a lot of guys that this is their livelihood.
It is. Well, all of the guys, it's their livelihood. Yeah. But these games at the end of the season,
like Justin Simmons' livelihood is a little bit more secure than some other guys.
Name a guy.
You and me.
Yes. I live day to day, Eric. That's
right.
That's how I sort of operate always. The other interesting thing is usually at this time of the year, we're talking about, this will be some opportunities for some young guys to get in the mix. That's not really the case for this Broncos team because young guys have been contributing all year long.
Yeah, that's true.
It's sort of an interesting situation where you're not even turning to younger guys to get some reps here. That's not really the case with this Broncos squad.
Well, and I think it points to as well the strength of this roster. Like, you're not phasing guys out necessarily that were a core part of this team. Like Kyle Fuller, for example, he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
He was a guy that maybe if Pat Surtain weren't getting very much playing time,
they would turn to him.
Exactly. But it's like Pat Surtain is probably the best cornerback on this team and maybe their second best defensive player already.
Yeah.
And so you look around this roster and it's like, well, there's not a lot of young guys to play at running back because Javonte Williams already has a big role and the wide receiving core is set and the young guys at tight end. And so that kind of goes back to my point earlier of this roster is ready to go.
Yeah.
Justin Simmons said the foundation is strong. They're ready to compete. And that's why the quarterback, going back to Drew, to me, you need somebody that's either going to step in and be ready to go right away, or you need somebody with the potential to be a top elite. 5 guy. Yeah, elite.
Let's get into that next topic here and talk about the foundation of this Broncos team. You kind of hinted there on the defensive side. There's a couple of guys who seem to be premier at their spots compared to the rest of the league. What do you think about this foundation? You know, we've heard George Payton say a lot last year that this thing's built through the draft. That's the foundation of your team. Where do you think the Broncos are here moving forward?
I think they're in a good spot. I mean, I think a lot of teams would switch places with the Broncos, and granted, part of the reason it's really good is because you haven't spent that high-end money on the quarterback position.
Cap space.
Yeah, they have cap space because the Broncos have missed a little bit in the draft, not really last year or this year, but previous years. So you're not re-signing your own guys, which means you have a lot of cap space. And so there's a reason that the entire roster is good, but it's this year in particular, with the rookie class you have, you can see that you're building things through the draft, which is the best way to have sustained success.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason the Chiefs struggled a little bit was because they can't afford to go out and pay a ton of big-name free agents, so you have to hit in the draft, and they kind of missed on some guys, and all of a sudden you're in a little bit of trouble.
And now they're the number one team.
And now they've figured it out.
Yeah. Who did that?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But in general, it gets harder for some of these teams, and you're always still in it, but maybe you don't have the Super Bowl team. But yeah, I think the foundation overall is strong. They're going to have to continue to draft well, which with George Payton, you'd like to think that would continue. You're going to have to hit on your free agents probably a little bit better than you did this year because Justin Simmons is your biggest free agent signing this year, whether or not you want to consider him that or not. He was an unrestricted guy.
Yeah.
You re-signed him to a big deal, and he's been
But the
really
new
good.
additions like Ronald Darby, he's been solid.
Yeah, he's been solid.
Kyle Fuller probably didn't work out quite how they envisioned it.
No.
I think that's honest.
Mike Boone was one of the main guys who hasn't had a huge role.
But I think maybe prior to the draft, they thought, let's get a guy. Mike Boone was supposed to be that backup to Melvin Gordon, but then Javonte emerged.
Right.
So who else did they really bring in here that you were like?
I mean, they brought in Shamar Stephen.
Yeah. The linebackers that they brought in during the middle of the season have been nice.
I mean, truly their big name guy was Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
And it worked out well, but you're probably going to need to hit on those. But, yeah, I think overall the foundation is good, and if you can just get a couple pieces in place, you're going to be ready to rock.
I think one way you could look at it is like, what is a glaring hole in a roster? The Broncos don't necessarily have something that's just like really a void anywhere. I'd say maybe pass rusher. They could use a little bit of a guy there who is like a game changer type of person.
Yeah.
So either an early draft pick or maybe a free agent or something like that. Just somebody like a Chubb that's like you're going to fear them when they're healthy.
Right. And the other place is probably offensive line still.
Offensive line, you could probably.
And, you re-sign Mike Purcell, but like defensive line could be an area too where you need a little better depth there.
And I would say if the Broncos go out, and find a premier quarterback somewhere else in the league, they trade for a guy, they sign a guy, whatever it is, the offensive line is going to become a priority, just because you don't want to bring in this guy who's going to change your outlook for the season. You got to protect him.
Right. Well, but I also think that if you bring in a big name guy, there's probably certain free agents that will want to play here that
That's true.
didn't necessarily have interest
The
before.
Manning impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could bring guys in for a lower salary, whereas you might have to pay them more otherwise. So it'll be something to watch. But I look at this team and the past few years, you think, man, there's a ton of holes to plug. I don't necessarily feel that way. I think, like maybe you want to bring Malik Reed back. I think I believe he's a restricted. He might be unrestricted this year. I'd have to check. But by getting Cortland and Tim done, there's not a ton of guys that you're like, we have to bring this guy back or else we're just in terrible shape there.
Yeah.
And so I like that about this team. I think they're ready to kind of be in that mix. But
Melvin Gordon will be a decision.
Yeah, that's true.
Just with Javonte, and then, you probably want another back to help carry some of the load there.
Yeah, Melvin's a good one.
Wide receiver is good. Tight end is good. We mentioned the O-line. Then on the defensive side, D-line we mentioned could use a little bit of reinforcements, but
all those guys are under
crazy.
contract.
Yeah.
The starters are.
Linebacker is going to be interesting to see what they do here with Josie Jewell, Alexander Johnson,
Kenny Young.
And then on the outside, the secondary seems pretty solid.
You probably need a nickel. You either need to re-sign
like
Bryce or get another outside corner, but you're not. I don't think you're not freaking out about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say the foundation. I agree with Justin.
Good. He was being honest.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to another topic here we wanted to touch on here on the Neutral Zone is talking about father-son duos. Pat Surtain and Pat Surtain again.
Yep.
If they, went at it, it'd be interesting to see who would come out on top, huh?
Yeah.
But if both are in their prime.
In their prime.
Which we don't know about PS2.
Right. How good could he get?
Yeah,
Is he past his prime?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No. When is a prime for a cornerback?
For a corner?
Maybe like year 3, 4?
Yeah.
I think that's probably your prime. Your peak physical condition and the mental side of it, you're really sharp at that point.
I mean, Justin's probably in his prime right now, right?
Yeah.
It's year 6.
Yeah. He's definitely in his prime.
Yeah. Back-to-back 5 interception seasons.
He's also a freak physically. Like he is really athletic.
Yes.
So, like someone like Justin it comes naturally to him, the athleticism. So, I'd be surprised if that started waning anytime soon.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it got me wondering, though, usually in these situations, the son tends to be a little bit better than the father.
Ooh.
Like Archie Manning was very good.
Uh-huh.
But Peyton Manning is like an all-time great.
Ooh.
And Eli is probably even better than Archie was. Would you say or no?
I don't know about that. Archie is really good.
But Eli won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but just
and
from
his
a
touchdown
pure
numbers are like
from a pure physical. I mean, Archie was on a really bad
That's
New
true.
Orleans team.
But Eli was the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah,
Peyton was the number 1 overall pick.
it's true.
I think Archie was the number 2 pick.
Oh, way down there.
Yeah.
Archie could run around the way that none of them could.
Yeah, that is true. A little bit more physically.
Cupper,
he was
supposed to be the best of any of them at wide receiver.
But
back injury.
Yeah.
You
That's
know
probably
that is.
Yeah, back injury. That's not good. When you get to be my age,
No.
the back is 50-50 every day.
Yeah, you're like, I'm 50, and now it feels 50 on my back.
But I would say, okay, the Mannings are obviously the gold standard in terms of father-son.
Uh-huh.
But like there's some other ones out there, like the Matthews kids. The father probably the best.
Clay Matthews. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So that my theory.
This is a good topic.
That's not good. Yeah. I'm trying to think about who. Yeah, dang it, that one. I shouldn't have brought that one. Dang. How about the Longs?
The Longs, yeah.
Howie was.
He's really good too, yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Wow.
So not always true.
Sometimes, but not always.
That is interesting. Because you would tend to think that if you're a father, like I know that Pat Surtain, he coached PS2 all the way through. You know, helped him in high school. And I think there's a big reason why Surtain, again, is having such a tremendous rookie year. He's so poised and mentally sharp with the game. A large part of that is probably credit to his dad.
Oh, I think so.
You're groomed from a young age. When
Get
you're
prepared. Yeah.
It's kind of probably like how Peyton's kid,
Yeah.
Marshall.
Marshall.
He like his dad's coaching his flag football team.
Right. He already knows.
Probably a little more complex than
he's probably better at identifying checks than some NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. So,
what about Arch Manning? You didn't even mention him.
Yeah, Arch Manning. Not to be confused with Archie Manning, but Arch Manning.
Well, they have different names.
Yeah, Arch. That's the same name as Archie. It's the same name. It's just one goes by something a little different than the other.
You know that for a fact? They're both Archibald?
So. I would assume so. I don't know if that's for a fact. Yeah. There is no nickname for Eric. You're just Eric.
Right.
But for Philip, which I am, all Phils are Phillips. There's no Phils out there.
My brother is Alex, but it's not short for Alexander.
Interesting.
So it could be two different names.
So you think that Arch, it's just Arch.
Who knows? I don't know.
It's possible. Fact check, Ben Swanson.
He's not here. He's done with the
But
podcast.
would you be surprised if Marshall was better than Peyton?
Yes.
That would be
I would
amazing.
be surprised because he's a top 5 quarterback ever.
Yeah. That is true. What do you think?
Yeah. What's Tom Brady's kid doing these days?
I think let's just focus on maybe hoping that they have fun and enjoy the game. But there is probably a certain level of pressure.
You know what's fun? Throwing tubs.
Yeah.
Brett Rippon, not his father, but his uncle, Mark.
Yeah. He was really
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. Good old Rip.
Got himself a tub.
Yeah, exactly. So, interesting. I mean, we heard George Payton say that he thought that PS2 had a little more dog in him than his dad.
Woof.
Yeah. So, I think we know what he thinks.
Yeah.
So, good topic, huh?
Yeah. Was there like a point or anything?
There doesn't have to be a point. It's just interesting to talk
The neutral zone. There doesn't have to be a point.
It's just fun to talk
about. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I'm sorry that you don't bring anything.
I had fun.
You don't.
You brought so much. I don't feel like I needed to bring anything.
Okay, you want to get to some YouTube comments? Maybe?
Sure. Yeah.
What's the point? What's even the point? Let's just leave. Huh? What's the point here? Okay. Maddie Randolph.
Okay.
Maddie Randolph says, "Giant dorks, the two of you, dorks that are Broncos fans though." And that makes you cool. What do you think about that, Eric?
I think that's a fair point.
You think that's pretty good?
Yeah. A little hurtful, but it became kind of nice.
It did become kind of
Or at least it became neutral,
Neutral zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Maddie. Yeah. We are kind of dorks. Well, you definitely are a dork.
Matty with a T?
No, Maddy.
Oh.
Maddie. Maybe, it could just be Maddie. You just never know.
It could be Madison.
It could be. It could be Madeline.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who really knows?
Really don't know.
Wow.
D. Robinson. I'm so tired of your predictions of what will happen with Drew starting. He's a better QB than Teddy has ever been. With our defense playing so well this year, there is no excuse why Teddy only won that many games.
Wow.
He brought the heat. And he didn't like your predictions. That's why we didn't do predictions today.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even realize we didn't do that.
I know, because you're out of it.
Yeah.
You don't even care.
What's the point of predictions?
That got 4 replies, Eric, and I don't know if...
Can you read any of them?
Adelson Rodriguez says, "We had a good defense last year, too. ... Stop it." I like it. Let's get it going. And then people disagree with Adelson. So
poor Adelson.
It's rough out there on the YouTube page, especially when it comes to the quarterback position.
It's tough. Do you think the Broncos would have had – what record would the Broncos have if Drew Lock started every game?
Ooh. This is dangerous territory.
Yeah.
What do you think? I would say, Eric, if I'm being honest, it'd probably be right about the same. I do think that they were neck and neck during training camp. Maybe they would have fallen one of those games that they should have won early on, but they probably would have nicked off one of those teams like they did later. Maybe they beat the Browns if Drew would have started that one or something. So I think there's probably a give or take here or there. They'd be right around the same.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 wins instead of 7.
Yeah.
They'd be just right around the same sort of team.
I'll say this. I don't think there's any way that they would have more wins.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Teddy had a career year.
Yeah, Teddy played
So-
well in the games he didn't play well in. The Broncos lost, but I mean, the Broncos are what, like 1-4 in one possession games. Like their wins have been convincing, and if there's one thing from last year, the Broncos didn't have a ton of convincing wins.
Yeah, that's true. They
Like
had a win that came on the very last play.
Right. But
Yeah,
they came back
and
from
then-
21 down.
Yeah. No, I think Teddy was the right choice at the beginning of the year just for the way that this team was constructed.
Right.
And I think that Teddy played very well this year. There were times where some things were frustrating with Teddy just in terms of just like,
Sure.
you know, not getting the ball to his playmakers maybe as much as fans certainly would have wanted to see. But he didn't turn the ball over. He played very efficient football. He did what Teddy does.
Like, did Drew won 4 games last year? Is that right?
Yeah, because Rippon won the Jets game.
Good old Rip.
Good old Rip.
Like, he won the Panthers game, the Chargers game.
Yeah. Earlier in the year. Yeah,
They started 0-3.
Yeah. That he got hurt. There were a couple other games in
Was
there
the
they won.
Titans? No,
No, they lost the Titans game.
yeah,
That was
they
the first
won
game
in
of the year.
2019.
Yeah. Fact check. But,
Let me-
I mean,
yeah.
there's not a ton of memorable.
No.
They lost to the Steelers. They lost to Tampa Bay at home when Driscoll started last season. They got the
Didn't
win.
get himself a.
They got the win at the Jets.
Oh yeah, so they won in New England. That was one of his.
Oh
wins.
yeah.
But the
Right after
Broncos
the COVID,
did
that was their
not
bye
score
week.
a touchdown, right?
In that game, no, I think.
I think they kicked 6 field goals.
What was the other game they won?
Yes, the Broncos kicked 6 field goals.
18-12, yeah.
Yeah, a Bon Buna.
But-
Miami.
oh, yeah. That was a Justin Simmons interception in the end zone.
Yeah.
So I think that they would have been around the same team.
So they only won one of those games. 1, 2. They only won one of those. No, they didn't win any of them. All of those games were one possession wins.
Yeah.
The Broncos did not have
A blowout, comfortable.
a win last year
yeah,
that was,
really just killed them.
Yeah.
They didn't kill anybody.
no. They're only
Well, they only won 5 games.
2 possession. Well, right, but the Broncos this year have only won 7 games,
Yeah.
and 6 of them are by more than one possession. I think.
Yeah. I don't think that you should go back and second guess anything that. Like a lot of people are probably wondering, oh gosh, if Drew would have started, this team would have been much better. That I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think it's
So,
good to
like
second guess that.
one possession wins are like, or one possession games, they tend to
Could
flip
go
flop.
either way.
Like
Yeah.
this, like next year, it's possible the Broncos are 3-2 in one possession games, or 4-1, or whatever. It tends to flip flop.
Well, if you have good quarterback play, you tend to win a lot of those close games.
I think they've studied this. It tends to be a little more.
You are a dork, aren't you?
It tends to be a
you're a
little more
dork.
close. But listen, they've won 6 games by more than one possession, which suggests those were comfortable wins.
Yes, their wins have been very definitive.
Like this, so
their
in my
losses could have gone either way.
in my mind, this team is closer to 10 wins than it is to like
5.
4
Yeah.
wins or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But also, Eric, this
Just being
team
honest.
lost 4 games earlier in the year, consecutive. And if things don't go well, they could close the season with 4 consecutive losses.
Yes,
So
that would not be good.
that would not be good. Let's get to an email here.
Okay.
Eric, this is from Joshua Cavazos.
Okay.
Joshua. Maybe it goes by Josh. I don't know.
You maybe would have put Josh.
Hi, Phil and Eric. I enjoy listening to the show on YouTube weekly. Joshua?
Thanks, Joshua.
I've been a Broncos fan for many years, and it's been quite difficult to see the team in this state that it's been the last 5 years. Our QB carousel situation has been annoying to see. Yes, Broncos finished 9-7 in 2016, and Trevor Siemian won 8 of those starts. I'm still waiting, though, for a signal caller to match that record and get this team back to that mark. The coaching staff has been a constant issue, and clearly changes need to be made. Which coaching candidates would you both like to see in consideration for the head coaching position? Keep up the great work with the show. Okay, well, the Broncos don't have an open head coaching position, Joshua. So,
Yeah.
and we heard Vic Fangio say he's aware that there's talk out there, earlier this week. He said, I know that people are talking about this head coaching position. He is not concerned about it, though.
No.
And if he's not concerned about it,
why should we be?
Why should we be?
No, I think that obviously there's a possibility. We'll see what happens. The Broncos, if they'd made up their minds, you would think that they would have made a move already because teams can start interviewing.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, we saw it was reported that the Jaguars have already requested a couple of interviews.
Yeah. Dan Quinn already denied their interview request.
That is true.
That's tough.
Cowboys
it's
defensive
tough.
coordinator.
Yeah.
That's interesting because your friend Ryan O'Halloran from the Denver Post said that the Jaguars' job is going to be in high demand.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Wow.
He reported.
Are you down on Trevor Lawrence at all?
No.
Okay. Listen, with the head coaching job, we'll talk about it if we get to it.
Yeah, if that happens, we'll have many episodes here on the
Many episodes. But I will say this. The Broncos are 4-1 against the Chargers. They've got to be better, obviously, against the Raiders and the Chiefs, but they've held Patrick Mahomes in check these last few games. As I mentioned on Monday, you've got to recognize that if you move on, especially from this defensive coaching staff, that there's a chance this defense with all its talented players takes a step back, and you use the rowboat analogy of you might create one hole by trying to plug another one. It's worth thinking about, do we want to get rid of kind of this expertise that has really stymied to – look at what Joe Burrow did the week after he played the Broncos. I mean, there's something to be said for that.
And there's something to be said for just some consistency, Eric.
Yeah.
You know, just like if you think about Vic Fangio's time here in Denver, the first year he had Joe Flacco, who was not in his prime, I don't think.
No.
And then at the end of the year had Drew Lock. Last year, a new coaching staff, the COVID season, a lot of ups and downs last year.
A lot of injuries.
And then this year, he's had Teddy. This was supposed to be the time with Vic. Like, he's like, okay, we got Teddy. This is our quarterback. And you've seen improvement. Yeah,
and I think that
Teddy's been hurt too. So
people here want playoffs, as do we.
Yep.
But I think the national perspective is, and I think it's not off base, is that if you look at the other teams competing for wild card spots, and I know you don't necessarily agree, but the Broncos are not necessarily like one of the 7 most talented teams as currently built.
You use talented, huh? Because the other day you kind of blasted me for not.
Well, you said the receivers were not talented, which I think is wrong.
Okay.
Like the Chargers with Justin Herbert, I think, are probably a better team than the Broncos. So it's not like in my mind, there's no shame in finishing behind them. And you beat them, which is an impressive feat.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Ravens on the surface, I know they've dealt with a lot of injuries, but like the Ravens on the surface have an MVP at quarterback. The Broncos do not. You kind of look around the league and around the AFC, and you can be like, well, especially at the quarterback position, these teams are better than the Broncos. And so it would almost have been an upset for them to get there.
Yeah, I mean, they had high expectations.
Yeah, they did. No one's going to like.
I think Vic ultimately is in charge of it all, but I would say that the areas that Vic touches directly have been very good.
Yeah, I mean, the game management, as we talked about, probably needs to improve. Yeah. But the defense in particular, keeping these guys motivated, they fell to 3-4 earlier in the year, and for the fact that they came back and won the next 2 and kind of stayed. This is the first time they've been below 500 since that time.
Yeah. And we talked about it at the beginning of this year, this team was going to be around 500 all season long.
Yes.
That's sort of what we thought.
We said 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, somewhere in there.
Yep. And they got very close to that.
Yeah.
And who knows what happens these last 2 games.
Right.
So we'll see. Joshua, thank you very much for your email.
Thank you.
If you'd like to be a part of the Neutral Zone, there are many ways you can do it. You could leave an email just like Joshua. How do you do that?
Leave an email, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, which we did not get to this week.
No.
AJ, he had a tough time this week.
Tough time.
He could not believe the rushing total last week.
18 yards, I think.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
AJ was very upset about that. AJ, we'll get to one of
your voicemails. You can call and vent anytime you want. Any member of Neutral Zone Nation, we'll listen to it. We might not play it.
Well, Ben Swanson, it's hard to get through.
Yeah, exactly.
It is hard to get through. Brandon from Iowa sent one in this week.
Yeah.
Edwin was a new one from Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Sent in. We appreciate these voicemails. So the way to do that, 707 neutral.
That's right.
707 neutral.
Yep.
Pretty easy. You could also get in touch with us directly on Twitter at Eric Dalala with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH.
Non-traditional spellings.
Non-traditional spellings. Just like Tom Magnetti, I'll share that photo when we're done.
Of course.
Because I'm
focused.
focused.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm focused right now.
You're something else.
You
That's
can
what
leave
you
a
are.
comment right here on the YouTube page. Let us know, do you like the show back in the studio here? It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. There's not strobing lights.
Check us out
Audio sounds
live on
probably
Mondays.
Yeah.
Breckenridge Brewery's Farm Home.
Farm home. It officially became a farm home last week.
It did. There are a lot of people there. They
It was
brought
nice.
a second bevy during the show. First time that's happened.
And that was a moment
That
I
was
think
the
we
tipping
both
point.
recognized.
Yeah.
They were like, this is a
Kind of
farm
a
home.
2 beers is probably the perfect number.
For an hour-long show. I think that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a perfect
Yeah.
number. Yeah. There's 2 of us, 2 bevies,
Yeah.
1 hour show.
That's right.
It is nice, though. 6 to 7 Mountain Time.
Always live on YouTube.
Always live on
There's
the YouTube.
legitimately no reason we would ever not be live.
We go live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do it live
Yeah.
on the Broncos YouTube page.
That's right.
And that show is all about comments. You leave a comment, we answer it right there. Eric crunches some numbers on the calculator and
I find the path to the
DVOA.
playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. You just crunch those DVOAs and who knows what could happen. Eric, any shout-outs before we say goodbye?
I think this is the last Neutral Zone show of this year,
Wow.
if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not
That is true.
mistaken.
You're
So
not
I'd just like to shout out every member of NZ Nation
Yes.
for all their support. I think we've grown this year, Phil.
We
I think
have
there's
grown.
more members of NZ Nation than ever before.
Yep.
We got stickers this year. If you want a sticker,
That's true. Email us.
email us, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Yep.
But thanks for everybody leaving voicemails, comments.
Yeah.
They're what makes this show what it is, Phil. It's not you, certainly.
No, it's the fans.
And it's our hair.
And that's our hair.
Yeah.
I don't even have a quarter zip on today. What am I even
That's
doing?
embarrassing.
Yeah, what is even the point?
Yeah. I'm in a casual quarter zip.
I know, yeah. Yeah. You're in
I've
the
got
studio,
many. I've
you're
got
like-
many types of quarter zip. You got formal quarter zip,
Yeah, I
golf
got it.
quarter zip, casual quarter zip.
all different areas of your closet.
Yeah, just like
you're
different quarter
What
zips.
kind of mood am I in
Yeah.
today? Casual? Okay, go to this area.
Yeah, casual quarter zip.
And it's only quarter zips in there. There's nothing else.
Well, I have a quarter zip closet. That's the big one.
Yeah,
And then I have like a little box where I keep everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that. I was going to say maybe shout out to John Madden.
Yeah.
You know, rest in peace. Died earlier this week at the age of 85 years old, Eric. But probably nobody who's had the same type of impact on the league as John Madden.
No.
As a coach, I think a lot of Broncos fans probably did not like John Madden.
No.
You know, even though he's
Very
got that lovable
successful.
personality, I think that
Raiders were good.
the Raiders were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, some good stories about, you know,
He
that
was the
Orange
coach
Crush defense.
when the Broncos beat them to go to the first Super Bowl. Is that
That's
correct?
when Tom Jackson went out of bounds near where John Madden was standing and said, "It's all over, fat man." Which that just tells you what kind of larger than life personality he had on the opposing side, where, you know, other players like thought about him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's a classic story.
Yeah.
So, and then to go on and have the broadcast career that he had, I think Vic Fangio kind of put it nicely on Wednesday. He said that, you know, when he was critical of somebody, he didn't really do it with a venom. You know, he kind of
Yeah.
there was a warm and charming way that John broadcasted that just made you enjoy listening and watching him.
It's like just one of those voices that
Yeah.
synonymous with the game. And
Yeah. He didn't get into like crazy X's and O's all the time, but like you still felt like you were getting something from him.
yeah, he invented DVOA, which was cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then obviously
The video game. Yeah.
You know, I think that there's
Vic,
a large
Vic
generation.
Fangio revealed Wednesday that he's never played a video game.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Yes, I do believe it. Yes.
You don't think he ever played like Pong or something?
I don't think so.
What else? He seems like a solitaire guy.
Yeah.
Is that a video game? No.
Well,
Online.
you mean on your computer?
Yeah.
He played? No, he probably played with a deck of cards.
You think
That
he's
sounds-
sitting there and dealing them out?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yeah. Or a chess. Maybe he's a chess guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he ever played a video game.
I bet he's played Pong
I don't
once.
think so. I don't see it. That would be great content for the website.
Get him to play
Let's
Madden.
get Vic to play Madden.
Yeah.
We'll
see what happens. I think that's an off-season.
That could be a really high quality off season.
Yeah.
That should be our goal. We'll get him to do
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Perfect. With us, that'd be fun.
Yeah. On the neutral zone.
It's just audio.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, okay, Vic, like in this situation, what defense should we call?
Yeah.
You know, and he might get a little too into it.
Yeah.
He might like it too much.
That's true. He might be like, they don't even have any good plays in this playbook.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. He's like,
he's importing his own plays.
Yeah, exactly. He imports his playbook. Yeah, exactly. It could be nice. But yeah, shout out, I think, to John Madden. Very fitting. And of course, Liz
Gerald's. Yeah.
That is.
And our friend the Hoff, Steve Atwater.
He's walking by the studio.
Got that Hall of Fame ring on. That.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing, it's a rock, man.
Steve gives fist bumps, you know.
It hurts your hand.
It just hurts your hand. Yeah. Exactly. That ring, he doesn't take it off.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think I would either.
No.
Yeah, that's our friend.
He put in some hard work to get that thing.
Yeah.
Show it off.
Yeah. He put in a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think it's time to wrap up the show here. A lot of good talk about what's going on in these next two games for the Broncos.
Yep.
I think we summed it up nicely.
I think so.
So we'll be back on Monday at Breckenridge Brewery's Farm Home. Monday, 6 o'clock. It's in Littleton off of Santa Fe and Brewery. It will also be live no matter what on the Broncos YouTube page.
Yep.
Until then, for Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone. See you next year.